So I was thinking about this the other day, these little conversations, as I saw one more headline that made me have this little conversation, because I went through just 3 conflicting conversations where I could not believe that our points of view were so far apart. You know, my mother was the Democrat in the family and the person who had all the compassion and wanted to save the world. And my dad was the farmer and the practical, and I've always thought he baited her just so he could have a conversation, you know. So I practiced a few of these conversations, and I saw there's this big divide. So as I was thinking about these little conversations that start when I see a headline or I think a thought or it comes in from somewhere out there, what if I caught that and I said, how did you come to that conclusion? Why do you feel that way? What is it that's making you worry in that perspective or view life that way? I send you love, and I because they're not there anyway, so I can say anything. I send you love, and I wish you the best, and I know that your spiritual path is not my spiritual path, and I see love coming from you, through you, at all times. And what different frequency that would create for me and for my loved one and for the whole planet. How many people can relate to the word frequency or vibrations? It's not a foreign subject to you, right? Because radios, we've had radios for a long time. We know all the different frequencies available. Now we have cable television, and we know all the different frequencies of television shows, way out there, really unusual ones, you know, and then really inspiring ones. So it's all about that method of finding the way to express our love, to stay in our love, to be a higher frequency. So because, as Martin Luther King said again, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. So this is a time we have been waiting for. You know, I knew a long time ago I was going to be a late bloomer. I'm ready to bloom now. Because I'm excited about sharing with people that there is hope, there is love, there is excitement, that we can have more joy. I was driving one day when I was having one of those down days, and I saw a license plate in front of me. I was asking, what could help this solution? Or the sublime solution is the divine solution, was what I was actually quoting. The divine solution is the sublime solution. So as I drove, a car pulled in front of me, and its license plate said SPRDLUV, spread love. I went, oh, that's what I need to do. And then I remembered my license plate says, create a joy. Spread love and create joy. Duh, I could have had a D. So I'm narrowing the gap of those experiences that happen that throw me farther out from my divine source and my divine connection. And I'm narrowing the gap, and narrowing the gap, and narrowing the gap, so that there's more time when that tunnel of white light that comes down into me can be more clear. And I can be more in that vibration by choosing love and answering the call to love. There's lots of things that are going to be difficult to look at in the world. There's lots of things that are going to be threatening or scary, or there's stories that we can make about all kinds of things. They go on in our mind, and they start with a headline, or they start with someone calling you and saying, oh, did you hear about? And the role of a light worker, the role of those of us who have been studying all this, is to hold that line and be the example. Be the example in whatever way we can of that other way. Gandhi must have gone through days of anger, resentment, revenge, but he didn't take it out into the world. I'm sure he had a few conversations about it, though, with people, and I'm sure he had lots of meditating about it when it came up. And I wrote down this from Susan Geisman today, who has a column called Sanaya Says. And she says, let me preface it. Our biology is such that If something upsets us, it's meant to stimulate, fear, anger, grief, they're natural. And it's not to put them down or not to try and ignore them or not to not listen to the message of them. But biologically, emotions run through in about 90 seconds in our body. So by realizing that, oh, this is here, and ooh, especially when anger comes, how tingly it makes you inside, and it's power. Anger is a really good thing because it gets you moving into the next thing, but not if you keep telling the story about it. So this is what Sanaya says. You have a human reaction. You flare up in anger or shrink in fear. You cannot help it. Truly, it's part of the human design, part of the physiological perfection that ensures you remain here in Earth School long enough to accomplish your tasks. These are survival mechanisms not needed by the soul, which is eternal. Soul and human, two sides of one coin, of one wholeness. If you cannot overcome the innate nature of the body, work with it. Vow to catch these automated responses sooner and sooner before they become full-blown human behavior. Flare up. Oh, there goes the programming. Shift awareness to the soul before things escalate. Why shift? For the soul knows only peace when faced with lesser vibrations and can better inform your physical form. So taking a deep breath, taking a 2 to 5 second release the conversation, relax the thought pattern, relax the story. Just 2 to 5 seconds, take a deep breath. Try it right now. And take another deep breath. Just let everything go. Every worry you've had, every question you've had. It's like taking a shower, an energy shower. So the soul knows only peace. As far as humanity practices heart, as more of humanity practices heart-based living, it will, my printer didn't work, it will qualify as the rite of passage into the next level of consciousness. Using our heart's intuitive abilities will become common sense based on practical intelligence. And that's from Doc Childer of the Heart Map. And so, being the example and not getting into the conversation with my sister, and being all riled up, and escalating. I just saw it escalate and escalate and escalate, and I couldn't stop myself. That was when I was with her. So now, being more aware, okay, so I apologized, we had a conversation, I gave a different point of view. That's all we can do when we come into the things that are going to be coming in the next few days, weeks, months, and years. And numerologically, 2017 is a 1 year. 2016 was a 9, so we completed a cycle. So what we do in these first few months of 2017 will set the energy for the next 9 years. So as an individual, I see a picture of bright lights going on, connecting on like a matrix all around the planet. There's the Women's March on Washington, and there's also a Women's Global March that's happening all around the world. And that's adding to that matrix to bring in more of that light and love and frequency that is our divine right, is our divine gift, is our divine calling. Contrast, like the contrast that I experienced at that arm settling place, is to bring out more of what you really want. More, more, more. The light will never be overshadowed by the dark. But the light is the part of that is being called for and called for and called for by so many people. So what is your calling? What do I write there? Oh, this is the quote I wanted to look for. I never have written a speech, so I'm trying to stick with it a little bit. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You only need a heart. And the idea of being able to help move. I went to see Lena and Jose Stevens, who are shamans here in Santa Fe. And they gave a talk about what the energy was that was coming in for this next year. And there were many different things that show perfectly, I mean, you unconsciously know exactly what they said without me telling the details. But the thing that was most important to me was that they were saying we're moving from a materialistic kind of energy, that duality, that level of consciousness, to a relationship kind of energy, where relationships are most important. And that's sort of the two forces that you see going on in the world, but that's also going on within each of us individually. So if I'm having a meltdown, is it about that energy of me moving out of my security is material things into my security is my relationship with myself, my spirit guides, my spiritual community, the higher vibration of people that I'm calling in. And so being able to catch that and discern it. So these are some key words. Don mentioned to me that he purchased some books for you called Super Accelerated Living by Bentinho Massaro. And I've been studying him since last year, and I've been to several of his retreats. He's like 28, and so on fire, and so excited, good looking, and a great spiritual teacher. Because he's all about coming from the heart and not getting into analyzing and dissecting what has been happening, but moving into frequency and energy. And he talks about parallel realities. You know that there's a parallel reality that exists at all times. I had a very exciting parallel reality experience this last summer, because I was walking out my kitchen into the garage, and I was looking backwards at something down here instead of looking where I was stepping, and I stepped wrong, and there were 3 steps down to a concrete floor, and I instantly had a vision of myself landing on the step, breaking a hip, I don't know what, but I was gently put down on the floor, feet away, and I knew it was a miracle. I knew it was a parallel reality for me to be able to keep doing my work and not be wounded and not be stopped. So, Bentinho about parallel realities. So these are the 2 words that he sees that we're moving from one concept to the other. The consuming state of consciousness is about gratification, relief, distraction, reacting, and getting. And it's dependent on circumstances and related to time. So whenever I'm avoiding doing what I'm afraid people might judge me about, I might be distracting myself with a little internet surfing, because that feels good. Or I might be reacting to somebody, because that's the old consuming, and security is outside of me. So the creating side, because we're all creative, and that's what many spiritual teachers are really inspiring people to get to their enthusiasm and their creativity, and that's what Bentinho is about. How can you create the world of your dreams? Satisfaction, joy, expression, freedom, giving, self-sourced, sourced being in capital letters, and living in the present. So that's the dichotomy, that's the contrast that we're being called to be a part of at this time. And some steps to help get out of being stuck in those times when we're a little bit scared or we're a little bit worried would be first to write down the options and solutions. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What are the different options that I have? 10 different things I could do to get out of this. Seek counsel from somebody else. Talk to somebody. I had a little upset just yesterday because I ran into someone that I've known for 30 years who was a part of the organization I used to be a part of. And it stimulated grief and anger and resentment, and so I had to leave, and I went and sat outside for a while, breathing, doing that 2 to 5 second technique. Then I called my sister and I told her about it a little bit, relaxed a little more. Then I went to visit a friend, talked to her more about it, and by the time I got home, I realized that her enthusiasm, my friend's from the past enthusiasm, was a little bit higher than mine. And that's what the contrast was. And that's what I was feeling. And I wanted to be like her. And why she was higher was because she was at the health and mind and body health spirit thing, and she was sharing with people. She was outflowing, doing her dream. That's what I'm doing today, so I got the same enthusiasm she had. Seek counsel from others. Seek out wonderful experiences. Wonderful experiences. Do something unusual that you know is something your heart would love to do, that you say, oh, I don't have time. Go do it. Sing and hum whenever you can. Humming raises your lowers your blood pressure. Singing oxygenates. Laughter. I'm a laughter yoga teacher. So laughter yoga, laughing for no reason. Very good for you. And make or listen to beautiful music. So getting out of being stuck is to plan pleasure moments. What a concept. We are important, each and every one of us. We are miraculous, radiant beings of light. And the more each of us shares our light, the more we connect. Every one of your relatives, every one of the people you connect with are being affected by the way that you feel today from this talk. And that expands and expands and expands because it's an invisible shield. It's the invisible shield, the miracle shield. And Spirit is asking us all just to be the love we came to be. And that's the call that we have the opportunity to do in our time. It's everything is coming up. Everything that Gandhi was for, everything that Nelson Mandela was about, everything that Martin Luther King was about, it's coming to a bigger head than ever. And it's the wounded child and the enlightened child. The wounded child, because we're all just wounded angels working out our shadow side. And I encourage you, and I respect you, and I know you've been working with this as much as I have, so let's keep going and give that love.